Gonna be my first try trying to pull it out this door. I got a pit crew here. I got my Uncle John and Colton, my son. Gonna see what happens here. First test drive.
He's on TV.
I think I'm finding now she's a little too high geared. Might have to go a little smaller sprocket on the transmission side, but I got it moved out to here on the straightaway. I'm gonna see what happens here. I was having a hard time pulling off of that grass with it. I really had to rev her up. I'm gonna open her up.
Bleach the tires there in the rocks, or wait for the bleach in the rocks.
Burn out.
Down the hill. Yeah, see if he gets back.
Nothing broke though. The shifter worked, the clutch worked. The front tires are rubbing, but I plan on getting much smaller tires. Those big 750s on there, those are only 4-inch rims. So I think a guy could put motorcycle tires on the front and it would solve all that. It'd almost be nice to have a bigger back sprocket on that bigger lower one behind the wheel, because the one on the transmission's already, I can't get one too much smaller than that on there. A few bugs to work out, but I think mainly it's going to be front tires and changing the gearing, and then of course getting brakes on it. chicken coop and you put wheels underneath of it and a motor on it and just took off down the road with it. That's the best way I can explain it. It's like driving a damn chicken coop. Anyway, I'm gonna take her for another short drive here and try to go around the block again, I'm thinking. Oh, what do you say? Was that a successful first test drive? Depends on how you measure success, I guess. Nothing caught on fire. That's good. None of my welds broke that I'm aware of. That's also good. Seeing as how there was no brakes, I figured at the very least we would have a collision of some sort. That didn't happen. That's also good. So, yeah, and I did it by the deadline that I set for myself. So, all in all, I'm going to say it was a pretty successful first test drive. I've went around several blocks with it now. There's things to work out here, though. It's too high geared. It won't hardly pull itself out of a rough spot. If you're out on the road, yeah, it'll go, but if you ran into much resistance, it would stop it. So I'm gonna have to figure out a way to get this geared down lower. I think right now, I've had it up in second gear and it was gaining ground. I think if you had a long enough road, it would wind out in second gear as long as it was flat. I think right now third gear would probably be a no-go. I think it would just lose ground and stall out. So we got to get that worked out. Flat tire on front, that's not helping on the rolling part either. So we're going to have to come up with a couple better front tires. And those are probably the next two things I'm going to do, and then we're going to have to get back and try to get brakes on it. I don't want to drive it around too much until I do. But I'm probably going to walk away from this for a while and start working on other stuff. It's summertime now, and I got a lot to get done. But I guess a quick rundown on what we got here going from front to back. I got 2x3 square tubing for frame rails, a lot of sheet metal out of furnaces and water heater and wood forms and stuff making that hood, 37 to 38 Chevy headlights, and a 41 to 48 Ford drop axle, 35 Ford wheels, 16-inch spokers, and the hubs that are on there, when I was grinding and cleaning on them to weld that brake disc on, I found orange paint on them off some kind of farm implement. I call them hay rack hubs. As far as this looking like a Model T, the only Model T parts on it are the fenders, and I've got 2 more to go on the back here, but I haven't put them on yet. But I gave $100 for 4 used Model T fenders. I think I get $50 for the axle, and it came with the spring and the steering box and all of that. A friend of mine, I've got to be friends with him because of YouTube. He gave me the steering column. That's out of a 41 to 40 Ford pickup. And then my friend Troy gave me some steering knuckles that came off of one of his Nissan trucks. And that's how I got it hooked in. That's a hexagonal steering box out of a older GM car that didn't have power steering. The clutch pedal I made, it's running off a cable. Same with the accelerator pedal, another cable. Wooden running boards. I've made some pretty strong mounts now. The cart is what my grandpa had built years ago to pull behind a tractor. And that's a late 30s, early 40s. I'm thinking around a 38 because I found out there's 2 different numbers for the bearings. They changed the part number halfway through that, so it's an earlier one. So I'm gonna call it a 38 Chevy axle and torque tube. And then he's used rectangular tubing to build a frame off of it. Deck boards for the floor, 2x12 for the seat. And this cab is just treated plywood, and the windows are out of a camper. I ordered an amp gauge off Amazon and made a kind of a cool looking little center dash for it with a piece of conduit. I like the way that looks for some reason. And my friend Dan said that ignition switch is probably off of a WD-45 or an older like D17 or D series Allis-Chalmers tractor. Made the gas gauge, copper tubing, needle off a clock face, and some cork float and mechanisms that go back there. Got a 1960 CK series Onan motor. I ran the numbers on it. I think it's a 12 horse. And then that Muncie 3-speed transmission is 74 or newer. And then a lot of that mounting and stuff is built off of a floor jack as well as the shifter. And the shifter linkage was 5/8 round rod and then going to 3/8 round rod when it turns. Made a pivot point there for it to change directions. Motorcycle chain and sprockets. You get the gist of it. There's no 2 parts on this that really fit together. We got wood bearings in the rear end because they were expensive. Yeah, I think I accomplished what I set out to do, but I am going to keep trying to make this better. My wife said something about having it better by August and maybe putting it in the town parade, but I got to get the gearing changed, tires, brakes. But probably going to be the last video you see on this, at least for a little while. I want to thank all you guys that's been following along with this. It's been a year in the making, and yeah, you guys are real troopers for hanging in there. Anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. I was wanting to get Geraldo with a camera crew to come here and film this for like primetime television. It would have been a better video. He's got cameramen, but I couldn't find his phone number, and I didn't think I really wanted to hang out with him all day. He'd probably wanted me to cook him lunch. So anyway, I filmed it the best I could without Geraldo. But hey, this is more exciting than that time he opened King Tut's tomb, right? Or was it Al Capone's vault? Anyway, wasn't anything in it. This is pretty good content here compared to that, I'm thinking. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Please Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that. We'll catch you on the next one. Later. Jeremy.